The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Scott Earhart here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. First and foremost, a very real thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. We do appreciate each and every one of you taking some time for us. I think you're going to find today very, very valuable and very informative. We are going to go through some of the top income products in the industry right now. They are from Athene within the Ascent series. And in order to take a deeper dive into the Ascent series, we have our RVP with us from Athene, Mr. Mac Campbell. Mac, can you hear me?
I can, Scott. Thanks for having me today.
Hey, thank you for the time. It's a very, very busy time over at Athene. You guys are doing great business, so we do appreciate you taking some time for us and our group here. A few things that I want to get into before we hand it over to Mac. A couple of housekeeping items here and then some introductory slides. Housekeeping items, probably the most important thing you'll hear come out of my mouth today is in the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's our phone number. That number is 800-255-5055. If there is anything we can be doing to help you in the life, annuity, or assets under management marketplaces, please do not hesitate to give us a call. We'd absolutely love the opportunity to be working with you. Second housekeeping item is polling questions. I'm going to launch 2 to 3 polls throughout the presentation today. If you would please take the time to just click yes or no on those. We certainly do appreciate everyone's participation there. Really helps us to get a better understanding of some of the programs that we offer and what we can be doing to help you take advantage of them. And then the final housekeeping item are questions. We're going to throw quite a bit of information at you here in a relatively short period of time. So that being said, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them in. Mac and the entire culture at Athene, they do such a great job of being as transparent as you can possibly be. We will try and answer all of those questions while we are live and in session today. So that being said, let's get into a few introductory slides and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of today's presentation. First thing I do want to chat about are some business building tools that we offer here at IAMS for all of our licensed producers. And the first one is going to be our referred producer program. Our side of the world here on the wholesale end of the industry, very, very similar to yours out there in the field, in that one of the best leads we can ever obtain is a referral from one of our valued producers, or you. So we want to make it worth your while to refer other producers over to us. When you send us a referral and they pick up any contract through Insurance Agency Marketing Services, we're going to send you a $50 thank you check. Now, where the real money comes in is as your referral writes business, we're going to give you a 20 basis point override on that business. And Steve and Charles, our owners, sign those checks at least quarterly, and they do sign checks for thousands and thousands of dollars at a time. So it can be very, very lucrative. One thing I do want to point out about this program is we're setting up a referral here. We are not setting up a hierarchy status, so that 20 basis point override comes out of the IAMS pocket. It doesn't come out of your referrals pocket. It doesn't come out of your standard commission anywhere. And part of what I find so enticing about this is because we're not setting up a hierarchy system, that means you don't take on any of the liability of your referral. So if your referral has some business go south 6 months down the road and enters into a chargeback scenario, that chargeback's never going to roll up to you. We'll handle it here internally. That being said, if you can think of anyone that could benefit from doing business with us here at IAMS, feel free to type their information in the questions box. Feel free to email that information over to me, scott@iamsinc.com. Or when I do call to follow up, if you want to let me know who they are, I will, or I'll have someone on my team do the best we can to get them recruited over here to IAMS and get you on your way to earning some referred producer dollars. Next program I want to talk about is the marketing reimbursement program. This is probably the most popular business building tool we offer, in that it really puts a lot of dollars back into your business. So rough numbers on this: for every $100,000 in annuity premium you place with IAMS, we're going to put $100 into your marketing reimbursement account. We consider this to be your money, so we don't put a lot of restriction on this. We'll let you grow the account as large as you want to, as long as you want to. We're not going to force you to cash it out every quarter or annually, anything like that. We also put very few restrictions on vendors that you can utilize. Really, all we're looking for here is if you have a business building expense, send us a receipt for it. We'll cut you a check, hopefully same day, to help you offset that expense. If you'd like to go into more detail about how the marketing reimbursement account works, or if you need me to calculate where your account sits right now, just let me know. Love to have that conversation with you. Moving on to new producer builders, this slide is going to be geared towards individuals who are new to us here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, or if this is your first introduction to us here at IAMS. We have a fast start bonus, basically. This is all based on production within your first 180 days of being licensed with IAMS. As you can see, there's 3 great levels available. You can cash in at any one of the 3, and you've got great options at each level: cash rewards, business building tools, personal perks, all available for you. So if you'd like to have an in-depth conversation about it, how it works, or if you'd like to have a conversation about what we can be doing here internally to help you make the step up to the next level, let us know. Certainly open to that conversation. Back office support. This is the heart of who we are here at IAMS. That subheadline there, "We will help you work smarter, not harder," is really the core of who we are, and we're going to do that with great business building tools and resources. If you haven't, we just went through some of the things for business building tools. If you haven't been out to our website at IAMSinc.com, I'd encourage you to do so. You'll find a lot of great resources, great articles, great marketing pieces all available to you. We do have, and I'll get into this in a little bit more detail here in a second, do have in-house creative team here to help you with your marketing. Of course, the actual sales directors, we're here to help you with case design and life and annuity quotes. I don't want to date us here, but we've got a lot of experience on our sales director staff. So please give us a call, give us an opportunity. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with how we operate the business. You will not have to leave voicemails. You will receive your illustrations the same day you request them. These are all guarantees that we make to you. Forms at your fingertips. 2 ways we can help you with forms. I'll go back to IAMSinc.com. Many of our carriers have allowed us to put their forms into iPipeline, so you can download them right at IAMSinc.com if you need to, or you can always dial 800-255-5055. We will pull those forms for you and either get them out to you in hard copy or email them to you directly. So forms at your fingertips there. Submission to commission support. This is Amber Williams and our entire new business team, and I don't want to brag too much, but we have the best new business team in the entire industry. Anyone that has submitted business through IAMS, I think, would echo that statement. I'll tell you this: if you haven't ever submitted a piece of business through IAMS, give us your next piece of business. Give us a try with one piece. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how great Amber and her team are at scrubbing applications, making sure they're submitted properly, doing the follow-up, taking all that back-end work off your plate and handling it for you. And because of that, your commission will come that much quicker. Top sales coaching and expertise, or expertise in coaching. I'll talk about this a little bit more when I talk about our life and annuity academies. But we do have several sales coaches from throughout the country that are here to help you grow your practice, here to help you with new marketing ideas, new sales techniques, and we'd certainly love to connect you with them if you'd like to. And then finally, paperless contracting. We all know the pain of submitting new licensing agreements. We will get rid of that for you. With our Efficient Forms platform, all you have to do is fill out licensing one time, and once that's complete, we can add on pretty much any carrier you'd like. Chris Mount, our licensing director, is an absolute guru with the paperless contracting. So if you are not already on the IAMS Efficient Forms platform, give Chris a call. We can get you set up over there. We can take a lot of that hassle away from you. Creative marketing, IAMS Creative. I talked about this briefly in the last slide. So Jacob and Sean and their entire team here internally at IAMS Creative do such a great job. If you're looking for new marketing avenues, new marketing materials, we can help you with that. We've got turnkey, ready to print, customized for you and your practice solutions there. Handwritten, or not handwritten, professionally written. We've got flyers, handouts, postcards, newsletters, all available, just stock and ready to go for you that we can personalize to you. One thing that we are very, very good at is building a customizable brand for our advisors. If you don't have a consistent brand for your firm, I'd highly encourage you to do this. Talk with Jacob, talk with his team. Brand consistency is huge in marketing, and it will definitely help you with name recognition. It can even help you with SEO for your online searches. Let us customize that for you. We can certainly do that. And then digital solutions, got a lot of expertise here, building websites for you, marketing strategies online, email newsletters, a lot of great stuff. Social media help we can provide for you. So if you're looking to really enhance your marketing and your branding, give IAMS Creative a call. Think you'll be really, really pleasantly surprised with what these gentlemen can do for you. And I know you'll be very, very pleased with the time frame and the cost frame on that. Our website, mentioned it earlier, IAMSinc.com. If you haven't gone out and created an account, please do so. A lot of great stuff out there, a lot of competitive intelligence, a lot of our sales resource library certainly will provide a lot of great articles, a lot of great tools for you, term quotes, UL quotes, annuity quotes, all available out there to you. So again, if you haven't taken the time to create an account at IAMSinc.com, I'd highly encourage you to do so as soon as we're finished with the webinar. Retirement Analyzer. So this is something I'm a big fan of, and there's a lot of different analysis tools out there for helping clients in their financial picture. A Retirement Analyzer is the best one that I've seen, or the favorite one, my favorite that I've seen. And the reason why is because it's a holistic look at a client's current financial status. And with the simple click of a button or two, you can show the client exactly how much longer their money will last them because they choose to implement a strategy or a product that you're recommending to them. I like the Retirement Analyzer because not only is it a great tool to show clients where they are, very easy to understand language and graphs, but it's also a great closing tool because just in that same plain language, you can show them, because Mr. and Mrs. Client, we do this with this set of funds, your money lasts this much longer. And it's just a very, very great tool there. It is free to qualifying agents. We do have a free 90-day trial on it. Marcus Solar in our office is our point man for this. So if you'd like to start that free trial or just learn more about how the RA works, give Marcus a call here in the office. He'd love to chat with you about that. IAMS Wealth Management. As I talk about IAMS Wealth Management, I'm going to launch our first poll of the day. If you would please take the time to click yes or no on this, we certainly do appreciate it. So IAMS Wealth, we started IAMS Wealth a little over a year ago now, and we are off to a great start with it. And we formed IAMS Wealth with the same culture and the same viewpoint as IAMS Insurance Agency Marketing Services functions. It's a producer or advisor-centric company. It's a service-based organization here to help support independent IARs with their assets under management. So really, you're going to get the same feel that you get here at IAMS. When you call in, you're going to have a live person answer the phone. You're going to get the solution you need right there in that one phone call. And if you need paperwork, if you need anything generated, that's going to get out to you same day. Service is key there. We have helped many of our longtime insurance advisors become IARs. We've got some great training and study partnerships out there to help you pass the Series 65. And our biggest growth sector there recently has come from moving over existing IARs to IAMS Wealth Management. And the reason we're seeing that happen is because we've got a really strong platform, some really advanced technology, and our fee structure is incredibly competitive. So whether you're thinking about adding assets under management into your practice, or if you currently are an IAR and you just want to kick the tires a little bit, click yes. If you click yes, you'll get a follow-up call from Mike Hansen, our onboarding specialist there. He'll also send you out an email just kind of going over everything it is that we offer with IAMS Wealth, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the value proposition that we would put to the table there. That being said, I do want to move on from this, so if we haven't taken the time to click yes or no in the polling question, if you would please do so. Certainly appreciate everyone participating there. Thank you, everyone. Life and Annuity Academy. We do have our final Life and Annuity Academy coming up here in October. So if this is of interest to you, I'd tell you to click yes. What we're going to do is October 17th, we're going to fly advisors in. We're going to have an evening session on the 17th. We are going to have an all-day session on the 18th, a morning session on the 19th, and fly you home. These are all expense paid for our academies. We will bring in our internal staff here. You'll meet myself. You'll probably meet Sandy Vacanti on our life team. You'll meet Charles R. Hiring, the head of our RIA. You will meet you will meet Jacob Treadlock, the head of creative. You will meet Amber Williams, the head of new business. And what we're going to talk about when we're in front of the group is everything that our departments do to help you be more successful. We're going to bring you new sales ideas. We're going to bring you different concepts on positioning. We're going to go through all the different softwares and tools we have to help you see more people, to help you close more sales. It's very, very marketing and sales oriented. We're not going to do a bunch of product roadshow here. We will also bring in, as I alluded to earlier, at least 4 of our sales coaches from throughout the country. And to be a sales coach with insurance agency marketing services, you not only have to talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk. And what I mean by that is these are the upper 1% of commission earners in our industry. So these are top producers. They're going to show you exactly what it is that they do in their daily practice that makes them so successful, and give you the ability to take that home with you and implement it in your own practice. So very, very valuable information there. We've been on this slide about 2 minutes. I do want to move on and get into Mac's presentation. So if you haven't taken the time to click yes or no on the Academy polling question, if you would please do so, I certainly appreciate that. All right, thank you, everyone. Last slide before I hand it over to Mac, probably my favorite slide to talk about here, IAMS Marketing Summit. We are going to be at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida next August. It's going to be a great, great trip. Still plenty of time to qualify for this. 3 million total trip credits get you an invite to the Ritz. As you can see, there's a breakdown on how trip credits are qualified. So if you have any questions about where you currently stand, if you want to have a conversation about what we could do to help you get over that threshold, certainly let me know. Love to have that conversation with you. That being said, Mr. Campbell, I am going to hand it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Scott. If you would, as usual, let me know if you can hear me okay, and if you can see my first slide, that'd be great.
I can hear you, and we can see the slide, boss.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Again, thanks for the introduction. Great job as always. And for anyone on the phone that has not had an opportunity to really kind of kick the tires with the folks at IAMS, I'd recommend you do that. I've been working with them for the last, 6-8 years. They've been one of our Athene, and even back to the Aviva and American Investor Days, one of our most trusted and loyal IMOs that we've ever had, and just a great relationship. So they pretty much set the bar when it comes to service and supporting their producers. So absolutely give them a call and see what they have to offer. I think Scott just gave you sort of a quick taste of what they could do for you, and there's a lot more there. So we'll kind of pivot here and get into the Athene portion. I'll take maybe the next 15 to 20 minutes tops, and then we'll have some time for questions. As Scott mentioned at the beginning, I'm happy to entertain any question about the content, about our company, about the industry. I do my best to answer everything. I don't like people who dodge questions, so I don't do that myself. This slide, focus on what your clients want most, opportunity awaits. I mean, there is a ton of opportunity in our business. The indexed annuity space through the first couple of quarters of this year is just on a record pace. I think we're really seeing the convergence to the middle here, where we're seeing fixed annuity customers come to index products, and we're seeing VA customers come to index products. Fees are lower, performance is strong, and what we're going to talk about today is primarily generating income for people using roll-up rates and also the index itself. But really, this performance has helped drive I believe will be one of our best years ever at Athene. Q2, we just had our earnings call not too long ago. We had a $2 billion quarter in the second quarter of this year, which a record quarter for us. And I think once the year ends here, we'll hopefully be number one in our space. I think through the first half of this year, we're number one in the independent space. So for those of you writing with us, thank you very much. And those of you that are not writing with us, we'd love for you to give us a look, and we'd love to earn your business. So I put this next slide up here just to kind of let everyone know that we do have a full portfolio of annuity products, and that's all we do. We don't do any life insurance or long-term care. We don't have a variable authority right now. We do fixed annuities and primarily index products, and we think we do them better than most, if not anyone else in the business. There are companies in the marketplace that you'll think of that will come to mind, and they're known as the income company or maybe the accumulation company. We like to think we've got products that can fit a whole host of your prospects and clients' needs. Accumulation products like the Performance Elite, protection products like our multi-year guarantee annuities, and then legacy products like our Benefit 10 or the brand new Agility product, which is getting a ton of attention in the marketplace, quickly becoming one of our best sellers there. So if the Performance Elite or the multi-year guarantee or the Agility, if you've not heard of those products, call the folks at IAMS and have them step you through those. They're industry leading in their respective category. And I would imagine Scott and I will likely do another webcast in the future on at least one of those. So stay tuned for that. As I mentioned before, we're going to talk about income. There's a ton of folks that are needing it, approaching retirement. We're not going to give you the baby boomer stats. Everyone knows those statistics ad nauseum. But the reality is there's a ton of people nearing retirement and they need income. We think we have probably the best way to achieve a level of guaranteed income and a level of income that potentially could grow with them in retirement as well, using our Ascent Pro product with the rider that's attached to it. As I mentioned before, we think we can provide income for virtually every one of your customers or prospects. Whether they're looking for simple pension type benefits like a guaranteed income rider, or if they're willing to use the index to really supercharge their income prospects down the road, we've got great stacked roll-up options, and we're going to cover both. Once they decide to trigger the income, we actually have a few different ways for that income to keep pace or potentially outpace inflation, which I believe is very important, and I'll spend some time talking about that as well. Then a couple of enhanced features that we'll discuss as well. So again, we think we have one of the most versatile built-in income riders in the market today. So let's kind of get right into how these things work. The next few slides are going to be all about how this defers and grows for the client. And then once we've talked about deferral, we'll switch gears and talk about what happens when the client actually triggers the income. So as I mentioned before, we've got basically two choices. The client makes two choices when they buy this thing, or really when they own it as well. First choice happens when you sign the application with them, and is, do they want option one or option two? Option one simply is a guaranteed growth income rider, kind of like a pension rider, if you will. And quite simply, it works like this. 10% simple interest is credited each and every year for the first decade, after which they get 5% simple for the next decade. Out of the gate, though, you'll notice here at the very top here, option one carries with it a 15% immediate income-based bonus. So that means if the client gives you $100,000 to put in one of these products, we're going to start their income off at $115 on day one, and that 10% simple, then again the 5% simple starts rolling up on that amount. So it really supercharges initially their income they could be receiving. Now competitively, there's a lot of different ways you can try to spreadsheet these products versus one another. Whether you go through IAMS or another third-party software, I think you will see that we are very competitive at the top or very near the top in virtually every scenario at least for the first 10 years of deferral, regardless of how old those people are. Now I say that because it's a very versatile rider. Again, if you think of certain companies, they're known as, this company does well on immediate income. This company does great after 10 years. This company, we think we do well across any single age you might be looking at, literally for the first decade and beyond. So if you've not quoted us, please call Scott and his team and see what we can do for you. I personally think that the people that would be choosing this rider are those that need income perhaps early, maybe in the next 3 to 4 or 5 years, or perhaps people that are a little older that don't want to worry about the indexed growth to enhance their income. This is one of the best sellers. This is an easier story to tell. It's an easier story to hear if you're a customer. And frankly, even though this is an indexed annuity, if you're going to pair it with this rider, option one, it doesn't matter what the index does. It just simply grows like as it does there on a guaranteed basis. Now, well, that's the most popular method, I think, of deferring and growing someone's income. And certainly for older individuals and people that need it early, I believe that if you have clients that are a little younger or that have maybe a little bit more longer time in front of them before they need the income, say outside of 5, 6, 7 years, I think option two will be the better way to go in almost every instance. Now, option two still has a guaranteed associated with it. It's just a little lower. I'll explain why it's lower in a minute. But you can see the difference. Option two, not a 15% income-based bonus at the top here, it's 10%. So that $100,000 starts at 110, then grows 7% simple for the first 10 years, and then 4% simple for the next 10 years. Now that's assuming that the market goes negative or does zero growth for the next 20 years, which never happens, won't happen. But just know that if that were to happen, if it's truly Armageddon scenario, the client is still getting a level of guaranteed growth, which is important. However, whenever they see any growth in their indexed account, we take that growth, double it, as you can see with this 200% stacking percentage, and then we stack it on top of their guaranteed amount right there. So let's say, give an example. Let's say in year one, they earn 3%, which I think is relatively conservative based on the year we just had, which was a banner year for indexed annuities, in case you're wondering. We'll use 3% just to be simple and conservative. We take that 3%, we double it to 6, then we stack it on top of the 7% that they've already gotten on a guaranteed basis anyway, giving them a 13% roll-up in that 1 year alone. And that now becomes their new low point. So you can see how powerful option two could be if you do even better than 3. Let's give you a 6, or maybe you have a great year and you do 7. And trust me, I've seen a lot larger growth numbers than 7% on this product. Let's say you use 5%. We double that to 10, stack it on top of the 7. Now you've got a 17% roll-up in that year. So you can see over time, this could really add up and provide a lot more income for clients. So again, I mentioned if your client's a little younger, or if they have, say, outside of 5 years before they need to access the rider for income, I would look at option two almost every instance. It's going to provide more money than option one. And it's almost a guaranteed certainty the longer you go out. So just a couple of food for thought there. So this is just a quick chart or graph or whatever you want to call it on option one. Very simple, very linear. You can see here that our $100,000, we give a 15% bump right out of the gate, giving it 115, and then we apply that initial roll-up rate down the road. So you can see here that 10 years, the income base, their $100,000 has grown to 215. So we've effectively doubled their money for income purposes, and that would trigger a payout at 7 years old in this example of just under $11,000. Now, I want you to remember that number, that $11,000, because what I'm going to do is show you the exact same type of chart, only looking at option two, and we're going to look at some of the numbers there. It's a little busier, but I'll kind of walk you through it. Remember, $11,000 was our end of the rainbow annual income for that 7-year-old individual at that point. So now let's take a look at option two. Remember, I said that if the market goes negative or returns nothing for 10 straight years, you're still going to get a guaranteed income. And that's what this dark blue line represents, this solid blue line. even if the market's negative for 10 straight years, the client's still going to get just under $10,000 guaranteed for life. So even though this is not a guaranteed rider, so to speak, they're getting just under $1,000 less per year than they would have received had they purchased option 1, which again is that guaranteed rider. Now let's take a look at what the market's actually done over the last 20 years. What we did is we've taken 20 years of market data. We've cherry-picked the 10 best years. We've averaged them out, and then we basically cherry-picked the 10 worst years to see what the income would have been for that client. And you can see the worst-case scenario, the worst 10-year period we could find in the last 2 decades, still return an annual income of almost $14,000. Now remember, that guaranteed number we saw on the last slide was about 11. We're almost $3,000 more, and this was the worst-case scenario. The average, you can see, was almost 16. Of course, the best is nearing 20,000 annually. So again, this is not for everybody. I understand that. It's a little bit more to the story, a little more complex. But if people are not looking at this, if they have individuals that need money down the road, they're doing them a huge disservice, because I think ultimately even the worst case scenario could potentially be quite a bit better than the best case in option 1, which we know what it is. I get it, it's predictable, but it just does not have quite the same opportunity to grow someone's income over longer periods of time. And I personally am a believer in the market. I think that the market eventually does what it's supposed to do, and that's earn value for people the longer you go. So just a quick look at option 1, and then again versus option 2. So that is deferral. We've covered a rider for people that need money soon, for perhaps older individuals in option 1. We've covered a rider for people that have more time in front of them, or perhaps slightly younger individuals, or don't mind using the market to enhance their income down the road, and that's option 2. So that was the first decision they had to make. I mentioned that before. There's 2 decisions. Decision 1 is what rider do they want at issue. The next decision they have to make on the product is, once they take the money, let's assume we're 10 years down the road now, how do they want to take it? There's 3 different options we could provide to them. Now, most people choose level income. Now, I'm okay with that as long as you are putting together some sort of inflation protection outside of this level income that they're going to be receiving from the insurance company. I'll get off the soapbox here in a minute. And I'm a huge believer, I mentioned the market, but I also believe that everything in life runs in cycles. I think the market is cyclical. We've seen that, it's boom busts. I think unemployment is cyclical. I think interest rates are cyclical. And I think inflation ultimately is cyclical as well. And for the last 2 decades, we have been trending below the 100-year average for inflation. So I have to believe that maybe not immediately, maybe not in the next 2, 3, or even 5 years, but eventually that pendulum will swing the other way, and we will see ourselves in a much more inflationary environment. The point I say, the reason I bring this up is, if you're providing your client, or the client chooses a level income out of the annuity, and they're saying taking $10,000 a year, will that $10,000 feel like that 20 years from now? Even if inflation is low, I guarantee you it will not feel that way. So that's, again, why I mentioned, if you're going to choose level income, which, by the way, does provide the highest initial level versus the other 2 here, just make sure you're planning for inflation with your customer somewhere else. Or you could choose, and really help us do that for you. You could choose 2 different inflation-typed hedges into the product. So if the client doesn't want to elect a level income, they have 2 choices to potentially keep up or outpace inflation. We've got an actual CPI inflation-adjusted income to give to them, which would increase on an annual basis 5 to 10% for up to 30 years, or until their accumulated value hits 0. Now that's pretty powerful growth. If inflation is 6 or 7%, this will match that. It will ensure that their 10,000 feels like 10,000 down the road. I think a more popular way to do it would actually be using the index to increase their money as well. Now, we talked about option 2, using the indexed income to help supercharge their deferral for income. Well, once they're in retirement and choosing income by option 3 or earnings index, the way that works, anytime there's growth in their indexed annuity in a given year, we simply apply that same growth percentage to next year's income. So if they make 4%, that means next year's income goes up 4%, and that again becomes their new low point. So when the market's up, so is their income. When the market's flat, their income stays the same. Again, I'm a believer in option 3 because I think the market does ultimately provide more value than it doesn't, particularly over 10, 20, or 30 years in someone's retirement. So let me kind of give you a numerical example here. And when you consider some of the strategies that we have on the product, and I'll talk about that in a moment, there's really a ton of opportunity here. So what I've done is I'm comparing 2 payout options. Here's a client that's deferred for 10 years, and they're now 65, 66 years old, and they're ready to make a choice. The choice is they can take a guaranteed level income, and you can see in this case it's about $9,900, and that never changes. Again, that's fine as long as they're planning for inflation somewhere else. So over 25 years, that's roughly $237,000, $238,000 in income off of initial $100,000 investment. That's not a bad deal. If they chose the earnings index, however, you can see that based on what the market's actually done over the last 20 years or so, they can potentially get quite a bit more on an annual basis. You'll notice that right out of the gate, there is a haircut. So instead of the $98.90, they take less. It's about $8,500 out of the gate. But let's look here. After 5 years or 6 years, they're already outpacing the level income based on what the market potentially has done over the last 10 to 20 years. Over 25 years, you can see that $98.90 to almost $21.2. We've increased our income by roughly 2.5 times. And if you add it all up, they've received $367,000 versus $237,000. So over $130,000 more in income by choosing the earnings indexed option for their income in retirement. So again, not for everybody, but to me, if you're not planning for inflation somewhere else, you have to choose that as the option. Let the market do what it's done over time and just help the client's income keep pace with inflation. I mentioned some enhanced features at the beginning. There is a minimum interest credit. That's more of a sleep at night feature where if the contract is 10 years old and the client doesn't earn anything for 10 years, we're going to make sure they at least earn 1% a year, then they can walk away if they want. Again, most people are not going to do that because they're going to use this for income. We have 10% free withdrawals per year, even in year 1. And we actually were the first company, this feature, believe it or not, dates back to the American investor days, even prior to Aviva. We were the first annuity company, indexed annuity company, to have a confinement doubler for income on the product. And it's one of the more popular features that we have. It doesn't cost anything extra. It's built into the rider. There's no underwriting. And just when a person's expenses start really going higher, if they're in some sort of nursing facility, this product has the ability to double their income for up to 5 years or until their accumulated value has depleted. So if they're getting $10,000 a year and they're in a nursing home and they've been there at least a year, or I'm sorry, my apologies. The contract is at least a year old and they've been in the facility for at least 6 months in the last 250 days, we'll take that $10,000 and we'll turn it into $20,000 for up to 5 years or again until it hits 0 in their accumulated value. Once that window is met, though, it doesn't go away. It simply goes back down to $10,000 a year. And again, it's a great feature. There's no underwriting. There's no extra cost for that. It's built into the rider automatically. I will tell you that depending on where you are living, make sure that you look at the state availability. There are certain states that don't allow this. In my state of Massachusetts, it's not there. It's not in California. So if you're in one of those special states, typically you know who you are. And just make sure you call the folks at IAMS to step you through that. To that end, here's a quick state availability map. Excuse me. We're approved virtually everywhere but New York, but you can see the states in yellow have different features attached to them. Some that don't have the confinement feature. The ones in blue generally are all in. And of course, Florida has a slightly different version of its own as well. But just keep in mind, if you're in one of those yellow or red states, call the folks at IAMS. They can step you through any product differences there might be. Now, clearly, if your client's taking option 2 here, you need to make sure that the strategy they're in is going to perform. Whether you sell this product or another company's product, make sure that the one you're recommending to your customer gives them a lot of different options when it comes to indexing. And you can see from this list here, we're not going to go through this whole thing, but we've got regular strategies, cap strategies based on the S&P 500. We've got both 1- and 2-year uncapped strategies, 3 or 4 different ones there. And just to give you some perspective, the year 2017, I mentioned that before, that it was a really good year, really for every indexed annuity. Athene, there were 7 strategies, mind you, that outperformed the S&P 500 on a gross basis. We had 3 of them, including the top 2. The number 1 strategy last year in the market was our Janus SocGen strategy here. You can see here at the bottom, 1- and 2-year versions. So again, a heck of a way to really supercharge someone's income if you're using a strategy, particularly if there's no cap. Again, you can see the rates here. You know, what I would ask you to do is don't look at the rates and just automatically assume, well, these don't look that great. Number 1, we're talking about an income product, not an accumulation product. And number 2, I would ask you, you know, I have a conversation with at least once a week with a producer, and they say, you know, look, I've got a product that's got, let's say it's a 50% participation rate, and yours is only 30. We look at our Janus SocGen here. Well, my next question to them would be, well, that's great, but what is it 50% of? I mentioned that the Janus index was number 1 last year. It returned over 32%. I would rather have 30% of that than 50% of 10 or 12 or whatever it is there. So just keep in mind, don't let these rates scare you necessarily. They're still going to provide a ton of value for clients and for their income. The cost of the rider is 1%, no matter which one you choose, option 1 or 2. You can see there, we talked about the roll-up percentages and, of course, the stacking percentage as well. Here's your surrender charges, your issue ages. Again, we're not going to spend a ton of time here. I would like to leave you with one sales idea using this product, and then, Scott, I'll turn it back over to you to entertain any questions that they may have. So this is actually a client-approved 1-page flyer that we put together, and I like it a lot because it talks about this concept of this rule of 4%. I don't know, if some of you may on the phone may work in managed money. Those of you that are not registered or 65 licensed, I guarantee you probably run up against a case where a client's got a managed portfolio of assets. And this is a great concept to potentially reposition not all of those assets, but just some of them to enhance their income down the road. You know, people I think are familiar with what this rule of 4% means. And when you have a managed portfolio of assets, of stocks and bonds, typically if you take 4% a year, that means over time, you're going to be able to take 4% each year and not deplete that asset. The issue with that is that 4% really no longer applies. Because interest rates have been so darn low for so long, the new 4% is about 3%. So that means the clients can take even less to make sure that their assets last as long as at least they do. Or what we can do is integrate an income rider indexed annuity into the plan. So here we have 2 scenarios. Scenario 1 is this blue bar on the left, and here we have a 65-year-old individual with $200,000 in a managed portfolio of equities and bonds. 3 years later, we're going to start drawing income from that, and we're going to assume 7% a year for that individual. We're going to use that roughly 3% withdrawal rate that we talked about, that the experts, quote unquote, say you should take. That yields roughly $6,000 to $7,000 a year for the client. Well, option 2 would be to take that same pool of assets, keep $100,000 there, take $100,000 and purchase the Ascent Pro product. Same set of circumstances, 65-year-old individual. We're going to take income at 68, both from the managed portfolio and from their income rider. And what we've done is we've increased their income by over 50%. But just as important, if not more important than that, we've guaranteed roughly 70% of the money versus 0% with just a managed portfolio of assets. There's this huge misconception out there that bonds are guaranteed. Trust me, they are not. So when you see someone with a managed portfolio of assets and they're going to use that to draw income, show them this flyer and help tell the story to them. You can increase their annual income by a dramatic amount, and by even more dramatic amount, you can guarantee the income they're actually going to receive. I think that's a very important story to tell people that have managed assets. So Scott, with that, that's all the prepared remarks I have for today. If you want, you can go ahead and take control from me, and I'm happy to take any questions that may have come in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mac. If there are any questions, please feel free to type them in. Mac, again, does such a great job of being as transparent as possible, so don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have. While I'm waiting on questions to come in, I do want to launch our final poll of the day, and what I'm going to ask you here is if you'd like licensing information from Athene. If you're not already appointed with Athene through IAMS, I'd tell you to click yes. As you saw in Mac's presentation, there's a lot of powerful solutions within the Athene portfolio. For income, we didn't get into accumulation or longevity today, just for the sheer sake of time, but it is a very, very robust portfolio, and definitely something that I think any independent advisor should have access to. So if you're interested, click yes. We'll get you out some licensing and product information from Athene and hopefully get them added into your offering portfolio for you. That being said, Mac, it looks like we actually had a pretty quiet group today. Didn't really have any questions come in that we could pose, in a big group setting here. Had some specifics come in. I will call and follow up with you on the very specific case questions that came in. So that being said, you get off the hook today, buddy. Any parting words for the group?
Oh man, well, listen, I appreciate everyone's attention. I know it's tough to dedicate 45 minutes to an hour. Again, just please call the folks at IAMS, and if you've not looked at us yet from an income perspective, please give us a chance. We'd love to earn your business. And aside from that, everyone have a great day. And Scott, thanks again for your partnership.
Hey, Mac, thank you. As always, you do such a great job. I know it's a busy time over there. You guys are just running tons of premium, so we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule for us. To everyone on the call today, we know that both Athene and IAMS know that 45, 50 minutes with us is 45 or 50 minutes where you're not out actively marketing and selling, so we do appreciate your time. Go out, have a great sales day, everyone, and I look forward to speaking with you all very, very soon.